Hey guys, so today should be Tuesday. We did just have Labor Day, and we do have 9/11 coming up for Remembrance Day. So if you kind of look ahead on the Google Classroom, you'll see that I do have some optional stuff for us to get you some extra credit if you want it. And when I do give extra credit, it's not like it's like 15 points. It's a point. So don't think you can also like get a 60 and then you've done four extra credit things. So that makes you passing. Like you won't, you still fail. But it's something easy, only takes a little bit of time and you can definitely improve your grade. So it's definitely worth checking out and we will get to that by the end of the week. But we are back. I hope you enjoyed the longer weekend. When we started right before we left for the break, I had to do a bell ringer because my classroom inside, they're not as far as you guys. So we're gonna break things up a little bit. So I don't know how the pace was, if it was too slow, too fast for you guys. But I do have a small classroom in-house, and it's been awesome to talk to probably each kid. Probably every day, I almost talk to every kid in my class. We go back and forth, talking about the content, what they think, their reflections, any questions. So it has been heavy participation in class. So that does shorten, or sorry, it does kind of put us a little bit behind with you guys because unfortunately you just get to hear me talk instead of talking back and forth. We have our comment section, but the kids in my school, we talk back and forth, so it does take up more time. So I'm trying to make this on schedule just like it is for the kids in class, but it's going to be a little off. So I'm going to break things up into smaller chunks for you guys. Okay. Now, before we left, I had you guys answer the bell ringer, and a lot of you guys did great. Some people have been commenting on each other's, but I said, what are some measurements of a country that you think are important or valuable? And this is awesome for us to think about because I believe I said before that, politicians are going to point to whatever numbers look great for them. They're not going to look at any bad numbers. Duh, you know what I mean? That would be self sabotage. But the thing for you guys to think about is what numbers do they actually control and what numbers do they not control? When they point to the good numbers, what percentage is accountable to them? Like, how much did they do? Same thing if there's bad numbers. Can you really hold that against some, congressman or president or whatever? Do they even control that? Is that their fault? So it's really important for us to think about these things, at the very least, so we're not duped whenever, you do have political ads or this and that, or when politicians say, we've done this. Well, did he? If he did, is it like 13% his fault? It's 58%. But some of you sent me really great measurements of the country, and I said, what are measurements we even should look at? Somebody said unemployment, and I think I countered saying, unemployment's great, but what does that measure? What about labor participation rate? Because we are at, like right now, a record low unemployment. Well, we were. Um, but at the same time, labor participation rate was at one of its worst, like in, I don't know, like 6 decades, something like that. So we have less people that even want to work. So that would also help unemployment. So there's all these different factors that you have to think about, and it basically and annoyingly makes things more complicated because I think we all just want simple answers to these things, but unfortunately, most times it's a complicated answer. Um, some of the other measurements you sent me, or things important to show how a country's doing. I got GDP, so gross domestic product, GNP, just looking at market values, how much do we make, gross products versus what we actually make. Some other things that you didn't think about, what about access to education? What about access to clean water? Access to healthcare? What about the infant mortality rate? What about the average age to death? You know what I'm saying? These are some other measurements that probably are good rather than, because we use GDP, that's like how much we spend. Like, yeah, that's a good measurement, but um, some other ones that are in some magazines, like Forbes magazine, they would put it's a good measurement of a country if they have X amount of McDonald's. And you can make the argument, that means that they're like well off, and McDonald's wants to invest in their country, so it must be doing something right. But it's like, how about like, do they have clean water? How old are they living? You know, what's how much money are they making? Do you know what I'm saying? Do they have running water? Like these are all other measurements that are good. So if you did check out the CIA World Factbook, like you can find tons of different measurements for countries, and you can see like who's doing awesome and who uh, needs to do better. And even if you look at our country and our measurements, where are we doing great? Where are we like top 10, top 5? But then where are we really slacking? And it's always important to check out these numbers to see, where you can improve. But I just wanted to give you a couple of those. Another measurement I saw in Forbes magazine was like how many Starbucks does a country have? And it's like, I don't know, guys. I don't know that that's a great measurement. Sure, you can, bunk it, but I feel like you can definitely debunk it. But anyway, we're going to get into about half the content for today. I know I'm spending about 6 minutes just going over introductory stuff, but our objectives for today and what I'm going to go over is just the census. Okay. Later, we're going to look at these tomorrow, but I just want to focus on this because I want to give you less. I'm not sure. Nobody's commented saying I'm giving them too much or it's too fast, or nobody's saying that it's too slow and it's not enough. So I'm just going to assume everything's okay. But we're going to cut it up a little bit. Okay, because I have to have my in-house guys catch up to you guys. You're just way too fast. But we'll look at the census and why it's important and how it came to be. Okay, these are our key terms. It's up to you if you want to copy them down and research ahead of time. Totally up to you. But let's look at this slide for a second. So the census in general, that was used in ancient times, like ancient Roman times, just to get an enrollment of names, families, property. And it's just supposed to be a periodic, here and there, routine counting of the people, the population. And they have figured that out then, and we still do it now. In fact, even when we first made our country, they would pay them $1 every time they got 150 people. But today, that dollar's like $27, for inflation and through time. So pretty much imagine somebody today, because we do have census workers. I know a couple census workers because they're trying to get it done for 2020. It's done every 10 years. And imagine getting 150 people and then they give you 27 bucks. It kind of isn't a great deal, but we need them. They are important. The census is a collection of information on our population. And I'll show you a quick, I have a link down here if you guys check it out, but I will show you a quick, this is from 2010, just the quick survey that it's going to be. So it asks you things like age, sex, education level, income level, marital status, occupation, religion, birth rate, death rate, average size of family, a bunch of things like that. Just basic information, even like how many pets that you have. So this is just a sample of what it is. It is an example of a civic duty. And remember the difference between civic duty and responsibility. Duty, you have to, you'll be arrested. Well, not arrested. Today, if you didn't do it, if they catch you, you're probably fined 500 bucks. That's probably what it is. You'll probably be fined 500 bucks. All right, let me get back to the slide quick. 1 second. There we go. So this is taken every 10 years, like I said. So 2010 was last time. Today we have something like 330 million people. But maybe it's a little higher, maybe it's a little lower. We're not positive because they're still doing the census now. And they're actually hiring. So if you know people that need a job, they can work for the census. They're trying to cram it in ASAP to get it done. So super important. And the main reason they even do it is for representation. This is something to remember all throughout our class. Different states have different representations in Congress, which includes the House of Representatives and the senators. Now, the senators, that's fixed, right? Probably some of you know that. We have 2 per state. But the representatives, each state has different number amount. And these are the people that create our federal laws, and they have everything to do with the money, what gets passed. So extremely, extremely important. Even, not that our congressmen vote in electoral college, but the electoral college number mimics the number that we have for Congress. If you don't know really what I'm saying, like I'll explain it later when we actually go over the executive branch. But like this stuff does matter. It helps us solve problems. It helps even businesses to know, what does our population look like, what areas are increasing and why, what areas are decreasing and why, how can we fix that, how can we help that, where do you want to open up a business, right? Where do we have issues? It's super important. It's super important to solve problems, essentially. Even government funding, you have to think, where does the government need to help with housing or food, living, employment, health, education? Um, but some numbers, and these are a little bit old, just to pass on to you guys, because uh, this is from 2010, and we should have better numbers in 2020. But this is a rough estimate that 72% of our population is white, about 13% of our population is black, about almost 5% is Asian, and about 1% is Native or Native Hawaiian or Alaskan. Another 6% is other, and about 3% is two or more races. Almost 80%, 79% speak English. Spanish is 13%. Other European languages are about 4%. And then Asian and Pacific Islanders speak about 4%. Others 1%. So something to keep in mind as well, that this is one that when they have data on students and adults taking civics tests, they think that English is like the national language. It's not. It's not in the Constitution. So let's say like tomorrow everybody spoke French. Like that could happen, and there would be nothing wrong with that. I mean, that probably won't be good for us because everything's like set in standard in English, but like that can happen. We don't have English as the official language. It just works out that the majority is, so it probably makes sense. Like I said, this whole census thing is about making sense and solving problems. It makes sense if the majority is to have most of that be that so that we can function efficiently, right? If that makes sense. About 47% are Protestant, so that means for most of you Christian, but it's a different, let's say, subdivision of Christianity. Roman Catholics make up about 21%, so Christians as well, but in a different way slightly. Jews are about 2%. Mormons are almost 2% as well. Other Christians, I'm not sure what that means, is about 1%. Muslims are about 1%. Jehovah's Witnesses are almost 1%. Buddhists are close to 1%. Hindus are close to 1%. Unaffiliated, like nothing, or maybe at least not, I guess, aligned with one of the main religions, is about 23%. So basically what I was going over included the demographics, ethnic backgrounds, we can even look at occupations, religion, family size, and so on, right? These are important for us to look at. For instance, if we're taking a census and we're gathering all this data, which we've done since the start of our country, and let's say like people in Northumberland are like dying like 30 years earlier than most people. Let's say we're dying in like our 50s rather than, late 70s. Well, then that helps the government, it helps businesses, it helps individuals think, well, Jesus, what's wrong? How can we fix this? Is it like the poor air quality? Is there something in the water? Something close to like Flint, Michigan? Is it this? Is it, I don't know, is it like alcoholism, or, is it a lack of, whatever, general apathy, something like that. Um, this is just a quick example of why this data is important, so we can figure out things, or we can see where we're doing very well in some of these things. What's the money amount or the family size, or do you know what I mean? Where are we doing well, and now can we mimic that in other areas? So it's always important to check that out, and not just locally either, not like a state to state or city to city. How are we doing compared to other nations? This is another reason that we should collect this data and use it. So it's super important. We're doing the census now for 2020. It's almost done, but we need more workers. So, if you know people that need a job, get after it. I think this is all I have for you guys today. As I said, we should have about 330 million, And then soon, I mean, throughout this class, we'll actually be able to look at all the data and what our population looks like. But we'll move on to other stuff like the population growth and how it changes and all that tomorrow. I don't want to give you too much. But for this class, if you guys would like to comment anything, any questions, anything you found interesting, if you want to go look at demographic information and be like, I thought it was crazy that we have, I don't know, this many Hindus, or, what is a Hindu? Like, whatever you guys want. If you comment, that's fine. You're not going to get a bonus point for it, but I just like to keep a constant dialogue. All right. Well, we'll finish this up tomorrow, and I'll give you an assignment tomorrow. All right, guys, enjoy it. Have a good one. Be safe. Bye.